We are continuing our Marvel Marathon Madness with 2006 X-Men The Last Stand, a sequel to X2 as well as the third installment in the X-Men film series. The plot, which was very loosely based on two X-Men comic book story arcs, namely Gifted and the Dark Phoenix Saga, revolves around a quote-unquote mutant cure that causes serious repercussions among mutants and humans alike, as well as the resurrection of the unstable Jean Grey who unleashes a dark force known as the Phoenix. So, let us go ahead and jump straight into the plot. We begin with a flashback to 1986 with Charles Xavier and Eric Lancher, who meet a young Jean Grey at her parents' house in order to invite her to join Charles Xavier's School for Gifted Children at the X-Mansion. 10 years later, in 1996, entrepreneur Warren Worthington II discovers his son is a mutant as the latter tries to cut off his wings in the bathroom. In the present, Worthington Labs announces an inoculation to suppress the X gene that gives mutants their abilities and offers said quote-unquote cure to any mutant who wants it. The cure interests some mutants such as Rogue, who cannot touch anyone without harming them, while others are wary of it. Magneto reestablishes his Brotherhood of Mutants with those who oppose the cure, warning it will be weaponized to exterminate the mutant race. With help from Pyro, Callisto, and several other mutants, Magneto attacks a mobile prison and frees Mystique, Multiple Man, and Juggernaut. Mystique shields Magneto from a cure dart and loses her mutant abilities in the process. With her powers gone, Magneto abandons her, claiming that she is no longer one of them. Scott Summers, still distraught over the loss of Jean Grey in the previous film, drives to her resting location at Alkali Lake. Now, shockingly, Jean appears to Scott, but as the two embrace and kiss, Jean seemingly kills him. Sensing trouble, Xavier sends Logan and Storm to investigate Alkali Lake. When they arrive, they find only a distorted field full of telekinetically floating rocks, Scott's glasses, and an unconscious Jean Grey. Back at the mansion, Xavier explains that when Jean sacrificed herself to save them, she also freed the Phoenix Force, a dark alternate personality with godlike destructive potential, which Xavier had telepathically repressed when she was younger. Logan is disgusted to learn of this psychic tampering and manipulation of Jean's mind, but once she awakens, he discovers that she killed Scott and is not the Jean Grey he once knew. The Phoenix emerges, knocks out Logan, and escapes to her childhood home. Learning of Jean's resurrection, Magneto and the Brotherhood arrive at the Grey home and at the same time as the X-Men arrive there as well. Magneto and Xavier go in and both vie for Jean's loyalty until the Phoenix resurfaces. She destroys the house and viciously disintegrates Xavier, then leaves with Magneto. Interrogating a depowered Mystique, the FBI discovers that Magneto's base is in the woods and raids it. However, the detected human signatures they picked up on before in the camp are actually just Multiple Man and his copies. Magneto and the Brotherhood attack Alcatraz with the intention to kill a young mutant named Jimmy, whose genome is used to create the actual cure. They overwhelm the military troops until the remaining X-Men arrive to confront them. During the fight, Kitty Pryde saves Jimmy from Juggernaut. Logan distracts Magneto long enough for Hank McCoy, aka Beast, to inject him with the cure, nullifying his magnetic powers. The Phoenix awakens and begins destroying anyone within range of her powers. Logan, realizing that he's the only one who can stop the Phoenix due to his healing factors and adamantium skeleton, approaches her, with Jean momentarily gaining control from the Phoenix and begs him to kill her. Logan finally stabs Jean and kills the Phoenix, putting an end to the conflict. Sometime later, mutant rights are finally obtained and Xavier's school is still operating with Storm as headmaster. The President of the United States appoints McCoy as ambassador to the United Nations and the representative of mutant rights. Rogue, having taken the cure, rekindles her relationship with Bobby Drake. Meanwhile, Magneto sits at a chessboard in San Francisco, seemingly human and weak. As Magneto gestures towards a metal piece, it wobbles slightly and it hints that the cure was actually not permanent. Elsewhere, Moira McTaggart, a longtime friend of Charles, is checking on a comatose patient, but is then startled when he greets her with Xavier's voice as the credits roll. Now, unlike the previous two films, the third installment was not as great, although not completely terrible. As with practically every X-Men story about fear of those who are different in their persecution, the parallels of the Cure in the film with many prejudiced views society has today towards those who are different in the real world is quite apparent and striking, showing how fear and ignorance can lead towards hate and mistreatment. Now, while the plot overall was a great way of showcasing what kind of struggles mutants are facing and going through daily was brilliant, it was the execution and overall mismanagement of the Phoenix Saga storyline that, well, at least in my view, made this installment the weaker one out of the three. The writing and production team should have focused solely on the Cure plotline and avoided the Phoenix Saga, which I believe could have made this film so much better than it was. On top of that, while being a great box office success, with the film turning out to be the 7th highest grossing worldwide film for 2006, it was not well received by either critics or, for that matter, the audience and fans. I truly believe that this movie had the beginnings of a great installment, but it lost itself with too many storyline plots. With that being said, honestly, it was still kind of fun to watch, and while not as captivating as the two amazing films that preceded it, The Last Stand still had enjoyable moments here and there with great action sequences as well, and that is why I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. Now, the next film I will cover will be 2009 X-Men Origins Wolverine, and following that will be 2011 X-Men First Class. So stay tuned, and please do consider hitting the like button and subscribing. I would truly appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for spending your time with me. Until our next adventure, y'all stay classy.